Hey, this is Evan Mark Katz, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, your personal trainer for love. This is an emergency podcast. I don't know how else to call it. It's something that I usually record, weeks in advance. This is something that's being recorded and put out ASAP because of the circumstances of my hometown, Los Angeles, a place where I moved in 1996, and I've called my home and built my career and my family, and I own a home. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it and acknowledge it. There's plenty being written about it. I don't know that I'm going to have anything terribly unique to say, but it also feels very important to address what's going on in the world instead of carrying on as if it's normal. This, it might be commonplace now, but nothing about this is normal. No one should have to go through what the people of Los Angeles are going through right now. Wouldn't wish it on anybody. So I just want to tell you what's going on in the Evan Mark Katz camp. And I want you to stick around to the very end because there's going to be some positive message amidst the emotion. And there's something in it for you. So 6 years ago, we evacuated our home prematurely. Premature evacuation. You know, I could trademark that. But we evacuated our home due to something called the Woolsey fire. And it was a decision that I made when, from our upstairs window, we saw flames on the mountain visible from our house. Once we saw the flames from our window, I was not going to stick around to see what happened next. Because of where it was located and the fact that that was the only fire that was going on. People were on it, but it was really scary. And over 2 days, I drove back and forth. My wife and I each have a SUV. We drove back and forth and took 5 trips to and from our house to get as much as we could out and put it in a friend's garage about 20 minutes away from home. And that was the end of it. It turned out that it didn't actually impact us, and we were going through an abundance of caution. Um, this year is similar but different. This year, the fires began at a place called Pacific Palisades on the coast of Los Angeles. You don't need to necessarily look at a map of Los Angeles, but between Pacific Palisades and the beach, from there to our house, as the crow flies, it's probably about 8 miles, and that 8 miles is all mountains and forest. And so it's beautiful. It's probably a 20 to 25-minute drive through those mountains and forests to get to the beach from my house. And with the Palisades fire, 50 miles to 100-mile-an-hour winds moved fast. I think last Tuesday, and within hours, you see the news. Some of the nicest parts of Los Angeles were on fire. I discovered that my accountant, man, I've known and cared about for years, lost his home, and he sent me a video of where he was, and I took that video with his permission and I put it up on Instagram. And this was early, so this was on Tuesday, I believe. And my video went viral because it was early in it, and it was apocalyptic. I literally said that on there. It was apocalyptic if you go to my Instagram account. And so I'm sharing this because, again, there's a lot of thoughts swirling. So I put this video up of this devastation and this horror, and suddenly there's thousands of comments. Right? There's probably over 5,000 comments on it right now. And everybody's turning this into their own thing, something political, something nefarious. And it was just the most disgusting display I've ever experienced in social media. And I'm not, that's not my milieu. But people posting on my Facebook page, they're glad that the California liberals are burning their homes. People saying that we deserve this, and this is what happens when you have Gavin Newsom as a governor. Our failure to protect ourselves is because we gave money to Ukraine and Israel and Free Palestine, and people spouting conspiracy theories. Right? it was it was just awful. It was like just more fuel that we don't need at this juncture in time. I don't know how the fires started. I don't know any more than anybody else does. But I would say this, it hasn't rained in California since May. The winds were 50 to 100 miles an hour, and high winds spread fires fast. So here I am, I'm watching what's going on in the news and it's alarming, but it's far away. It's not affecting me. Those fires are relegated to Pasadena, 30 miles away, and the Palisades close to the beach. And then Thursday happened. I was doing a Zoom presentation at the time. I was scheduled for 3 o'clock, and it was going to be me and about 20 women on Zoom. This was organized by Leslie Jane Seymour, the former editor of More magazine for um, older women, and so she's got her own, club. And so I prepared a presentation especially for them. And in the meantime, my phone is pinging with all these notifications from the fire app that I downloaded. And so she's like, "Are you okay to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay to do this. I'm here. I'm a professional, and I'm not going to panic about something that's beyond my control. My wife and kids aren't even home, so sure, I'm going to do this." So I'm doing my best to stay really, really present during this presentation that I'm giving, a little PowerPoint slideshow. And about 15, 20 minutes in, it was just too many notifications, to the point that I abandoned what I was doing with apologies. And my wife and kids came home from where they were. And then the shit kind of just hit the fan. Turns out that the fire from Topanga had jumped to a fire that was in my area. If you go Google it, it was called the Kenneth Fire. That's in West Hills. That's my neighborhood. That fire started off as 20 acres, and within, I don't know, maybe 4 hours grew to 1,000 acres. This is 2 miles from my house or something like that. It's on the other side of the big road. So now I'm vigilant. I'm not fucking around here, because my operations manager, this is other news, my operations manager who worked with me for the past 4 years, lost her home in a fire in September in Reno, Nevada. And she had 15 to 20 minutes between when she learned about the fire and when her house was gone. So I learned from someone I really deeply care about, do not be the person who is the last to react. And so I start packing furiously. I pull out a suitcase. I take a handful of clothes. Here's my shirts, sweaters, throw it, right? Whatever I could just take, right? Put it in a suitcase, and then gather around for the more important stuff. Um, uh, Hard drives, paperwork, whatever. And so I'm going crazy, packing this. And, and and my neighbors are having a different reaction. My neighbors are outside, watching the smoke, talking with each other, and they're calm. And I'm like, "What are you?" My other one neighbor's evacuating, the younger neighbor to my left. The neighbor to my right is 65-year-old guy. He's like, "We've lived here for 40 years. We've seen this before. Everything's going to be fine. You're overreacting. We've got the news on." Right? And I was like, "Yeah, but..." So again, I'm getting contradictory information. Then we get a warning on our phone that, right, and this is also part of the news cycle. We got a warning on our phone that it was a mandatory evacuation for people in the West Hills area, but that's the mandatory evacuation for the zone next to me. It's not the mandatory evacuation for my zone. But you get that loud noise on your phone, right? And it says your town on your phone. You don't make too much of a distinction. So we're somewhere between my neighbor saying everything's fine, this is going to blow over. That was a false alarm. That warning that was sent out, right? And you don't want to be the last person to stay in your neighborhood, the person who said, "Oh, this is not gonna come to me." Winds are unpredictable. So we're packing. My wife is much more deliberate and calm than I am. I want to give her credit for being more deliberate and calm than I am. she's calm to the point that she's packing her jewelry. And for me, you pack the jewelry, you take your jewelry chest, you take the drawer, you dump it into a bag. She's taking individual necklaces so they don't get tangled and putting them in individual bags. I'm not kidding you. Now, this is because she, in retrospect, properly was told this is not gonna, this is probably not gonna come to you tonight. So, but then our power got cut. I don't know if it was a blackout, I don't know if it was intentional, but we lost internet, we lost power. So suddenly it's getting dark. It's now 5:30, 6 o'clock. We're packing in the dark. I pick up the phone, call a friend, because being at home in the dark, waiting for a fire to come, no internet or power, when we could have had some like ramen noodles or something like that on the stove, the fridge was out. So we're like, maybe we should just evacuate, not because our house is necessarily going to burn, but because it's really unpleasant to be here. We're just about ready to go. The power goes back on. We decide to stay. So this is Thursday night. So our nerves are jangled. We decide to stay. Friday, more of the same. We're watching it on the news. We're watching it on our phone apps. Fires are popping up everywhere. Big fires are getting worse. The Kenneth fire is being more contained than the Palisades fire, but it's still too close to home. And we know the winds are supposed to pick up on Saturday night. So my wife goes to San Diego to go to her best friend's mom's funeral. That was always planned for her to go. I stay home Friday night with the kids, and Saturday morning, spend my whole time gathering everything I could possibly gather. And I'm just trying to think of everything. There's a really good chance this is not my house is going to be standing when I come home on Sunday. I'm going to spend Saturday night with friends about an hour and a half away. But if it's not, I don't want to have any what ifs. So I spent 7 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon just thinking of everything I could do. And some of it was like weird and contradictory. I was like doing fire preparedness. I got a professional gutter cleaner to clean my gutters. I watered the plants around the periphery of my house. I took out a ladder in case the firemen needed a ladder, which is what they say that you do. I pushed couches into the middle of the room in case windows burst and the couches wouldn't catch flame immediately. I moved drapes out of the way. I turned on all the lights, but I didn't unlock the door so the firemen can get in or looters can get in. I didn't turn off all the gas in the house, which could mean an explosion. I left the gas on because if you turn off the gas, then you have to call the city to turn it back on. So I'm doing things that contradict you. I'm really preparing for a fire, and I'm also thinking there's a good chance I'm coming home and everything's going to be okay. The reason I'm telling this is because so much goes through your brain at this point in time where you're trying to think of what's important and you're grabbing it and you're going online, you're looking up lists, and I'm taking my family photos and my hard drives and all our paperwork and birth certificates and insurance stuff, old letters and keepsakes, a box of letters my grandfather wrote to my grandmother in World War II, all the birthday letters that I got, all the wife's photo albums with her first husband, that again, I was like, I'm going to take this. These are her memories. The only thing that I couldn't do was put anything more into my one SUV. So we have all this art on the walls, which to me is the most priceless, but you're going to be a homeless person with a whole collection of art. So we had to put all the necessities and the keepsakes and leave the art on the walls. And I'm standing there in my walk-in closet and I'm looking at clothes and I'm just paralyzed. And you just have this moment where you're like, none of this matters. I know everybody says none of this actually matters, right? And not even the photos, because I'm looking through photo albums. Do I keep this one? Do I leave this one? If I have a finite number to take, none of it actually matters. Not even the photos, which sit in albums, in a box, in a closet, right? And it was just like this moment of clarity. What mattered, the two things that mattered, one thing that everybody talks about is obviously the safety of the family, the wife, the kids, the dog. And then it's the house itself, the structure of the house, not anything inside of it. This is where I raised my family for nearly 15 years. I wanted to take everything inside, but we had 2 cars and we couldn't make multiple trips back and forth. We have nowhere to go. because fires are popping up all over LA. Any place you want to evacuate in LA is also unsafe because of the uncertainty of the winds. So Saturday night, we actually had a really great night, hung out with friends and ate and laughed and talked and drank until like 4 in the morning. I Winds were calmer on Sunday, came back here, had sort of a regular night, brought some stuff into the house, but the cars are still packed. Right now, the cars are packed. Why? Because even though everything is normal and the kids are back in school while I'm speaking, it's hard for me to relax. Right? There's 20-mile-an-hour winds today. 50-mile-an-hour winds are coming to my area specifically overnight on Tuesday at 4 a.m. through midday on Wednesday. So simultaneously, everything's fine until it's not. The fires are not near my house, but they could just hop here like they did on Thursday, not linearly cutting a swath through the mountain, but one burning leaf going a mile and landing in a neighbor's backyard. Like that could happen. I don't know about the physics of one burning leaf traveling a mile, but you get the idea. So right now I'm talking to you, appointments on the schedule, right? And I'm listening to the wind outside my window and I see the notifications as they pop up on my Watch Duty app. And I'm just trying to keep things normal for my wife, for my kids, for my clients, despite the tremendous amount of uncertainty and chaos around me. So as I record this, maybe as much for me as for you, I believe that there's a 99% chance that everything's going to ultimately be okay in my area. But I am keeping my cars packed until the fires die down and the winds are gone on Thursday. And in the meantime, I'm trying to live my life and eat and sleep and have dinner with the kids and watch Friends reruns and just plow on. And again, I'm still doing this job the same way I was doing this job until I got a notification to evac my house. I'm committed to being here for you. And I'm reminded of the importance of love every day. You know, Crises can pull people apart and they can bring them together. For my wife and I, um, we've really been communicating strongly, making big, important decisions together, taking care of each other, really leaning on each other. I can't tell you how invaluable that is, especially in times of crisis. And I want you to have the same thing. That's why, despite everything that's going on in my life, I'm proceeding to do what I was planning on doing from planning it last year, which is my 5-day challenge. That has not changed. Your love life hasn't changed. Unless you're in Los Angeles, you're probably not affected by this. And all you're thinking is, I hear you about the fires. That sounds really tragic. What does this have to do with my love life? I'm a living example of the value of love and being loved and its positive impact on your life, no matter what the circumstance. I want you to have that too. So right now, as you listen, if you haven't done so already, go to evanmarkatz.com/challenge. You could click on the link in the show notes. You could just type it in. All right, and put in your name and email address, 5 days to rediscover your confidence and take charge of your love life. If you've discovered that you've been settling on the wrong men, that you're paralyzed by indecision, that you have given up on the possibility that this kind of love can be yours, that is not true. It just takes one step in the right direction to turn the tides. And so I invite you to take that step by doing my free 5-day challenge. Every day I'm going to put out a video. I'm going to give you a little exercise to do, and we're going to try to make 2025, despite all the ambient noise and anxiety and bad news in the world, we're going to try to make this the year that you take control of your love life and you get the love that you deserve. And I want to be there for you the way I'm there for my wife, the way my wife is there for me. You deserve this. So it's free. Take advantage of the opportunity. evanmarkatz.com/challenge. And I look forward to seeing you there on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, watching those videos, sharing your comments. And I believe that begins in a couple days, which would be, I think, Wednesday the 15th. Right now it's Monday the 13th. So I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for listening to me. And I know this is a little rambly and not particularly dating related, but since I have a microphone and a small platform, it feels really important for me to share with you what I'm going through right now. Um, and it's going to be okay. That's what I believe. It's going to be okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.